In this episode of the Grow Your Video Business podcast, how to have a marketing strategy without being a marketing pro. We share some really practical tips on things that you can start implementing today. The importance of positioning yourself with potential clients so that you can get the type of jobs that you dream of and avoid the crummy ones. And then we also talk about blogging. Is blogging an outdated marketing strategy? You're going to hear how Kevin is using his blog to book new clients. What's up, friend? I'm Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and this is the Grow Your Video Business podcast, the show created for videographers to build a better business, make a bigger impact, and actually enjoy the journey. I'm super excited for this episode with video business owner Kevin Elliott, but real quick, wanted to talk about the Onward Summit. This event is so near and dear to my heart, and it's coming up super quick. If you haven't committed to coming to the Onward Summit to be able to learn and to grow with other videographers, just know that some of the biggest movements that I've made in my business have been birthed from side conversations that I've had with others at conferences and workshops. I've seen inspiring presentations and all of that stuff, but these conversations, the friendships that I've built at conferences in the video world have lasted almost 2 decades in some cases. This is your opportunity to be able to meet with others that are focused and working hard at owning their business instead of being owned by their business. So if you want to experience more impact and more freedom, this is the place that you want to be. I know for a fact that there are some people attending that are in their first year of their video business, but also there's at least one person's coming who has made over $1 million in revenue in just last year. I know a couple of others who are making multiple six figures. Yeah, big difference there in their video business. And they're coming to share with you, to help you get to a spot where you're feeling more financially secure, where you've got good systems in place. I'm going to be there to coach and encourage and challenge. And I'm fired up if you can't tell. So if you want access to all of these people, plus to be a part of some inspiring sessions and have some dedicated, focused time to work on your business, not just in it. You've heard my story. One of the main reasons that I've been able to build a video business and have the kind of success that I've experienced, I owe a major part because of the live events, the in-person events and workshops that I've attended. So I want you to be here. I want you to consider it. If you're on the fence, let this be the thing that just shakes you and says, like, okay, I'm in. I'm done selling. I'm done pushing this thing. Well, I'm not. There's still more time, but right now, in this moment, if you are interested, go to studiosherpas.com/onward to grab your ticket, save your seats, and I so look forward to seeing you here. With that, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Core Group, and then we'll jump into the episode. If there was one thing that could have ended my business 17 years ago, it would be because of the numbers. I hate accounting. Taxes, W-9s, W-2s, W-40s, spreadsheets, all of that stuff. And I hate it mostly because I'm afraid of it. I'm just not great with numbers. If this sounds familiar, or if you're so new in your business that it's not even on your radar yet, you need Core Group. Core Group can help you create financial systems and tax strategies that you need so you can grow profitably, and they've been doing this for over 20 years. They become an extension of your team so that you can stay in your lane of expertise and then lean on them to help guide you along the way. For me, having a team of experts in my corner to help keep track of our books and just to make sure that we're budgeting for taxes appropriately, to have an actual strategy for our taxes and our accounting is priceless. And it allows me to sleep easier at night, knowing that I don't have to be an expert in that arena. If you want to avoid surprises in your video business, and you want experienced help building a plan for the future that you want, both professionally and personally, head over to studiosherpas.com/core for more information. And when you're ready to set up a free consult with them, make sure to mention Studio Sherpas for a special discount too. Got your back. Get more out of your accountant. Go to studiosherpas.com/core. What's up, everybody? Hey, welcome to the show. Today, my guest is Kevin Elliott, who is the co-founder and lead producer of Wewa Films, where he's produced videos all over the country for clients like McDonald's and Florida Tourism. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ryan. Man, I'm thrilled to be here.
I am thrilled that you're here, too. Well, tell me, what do you love about what you do?
So, what I really love is the job of producer. And as you know, and as all your listeners know, there's lots of jobs in videography and there's lots of jobs in video production. And it took me a long time to figure out where my niche was in that. And where it is producing, because I like all of it. So my business partner, Courtney, is our lead cinematographer, and she's a genius and she's amazing, but she just wants to shoot and video. She just wants to shoot and cut video. That's it. She doesn't want to deal with clients. She doesn't want to. So I like all of that. I like the music, and I like the videography, and I like the client side. I like the marketing. I like it all. And so, and they call that a producer. So that's what I love the best about it. But being surrounded by creative people all the time, and I guess my very, very favorite thing is being able to delight a client and make them look and sound better than they thought they could, or the way they wish they did in their mind. That's always a nice moment when you give them something and they go, oh my gosh, I didn't know we could look and sound like that. That's a big deal. So that's the juice for me.
Oh man. I love that. That's a very good way of putting that, the way that they thought, because there are few people that like the sound of their voice, that like the way that they look, to go on video, right? Because that's so final. Like once it's on video, it's like there forever. But yeah, that feeling of like people like watching it like, oh man, I don't sound like a total bumbling idiot all the time. This is me talking about me watching myself. That's really good. That's powerful. It was almost, probably about a decade of me being in the world of video production, running my business. I had heard this term producer, and then when we launched our corporate brand, that word was being thrown around more and more. But because the majority of my background was in wedding filmmaking, while we were doing some work with businesses and nonprofits, that term or that position wasn't something that we looked to hire. We did without it. Well, little did I know that was actually the position that I was doing that I loved, because eventually I hired a producer when I was trying to grow the business, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know like somebody else could do like all of the different things. When you describe producer, I like how you did that. How do you describe that in like one or two sentences to somebody what that job actually is?
I'll use an analogy. It is like conducting an orchestra. Okay, you have the instrumentalist, right? You have the musicians that play their part. Everybody has a part. They have a sheet of music in front of them, and they're playing it. Violins, violas, bassoons, tuba, whatever. There's one person who has to thread all of that together and make it one musical voice, and that's the conductor. That's a producer. And so as a producer or a conductor, you may not be an expert on all those you are not going to be an expert on all those individual things, but you know what each of them does. You know how to put them together to get something that on their own they would not create. And that's a producer. And that's what I like. Strangely enough, I have a musical background. I was a music kid, and I actually started college on a music scholarship, so I have a lot of music analogies. But I was the drum major of my high school band. I was a band geek all through high school. And looking back on that now, I go, well, that makes total sense for me. Because I've always liked all of it. I've always wanted to play all the instruments. And that's what a producer does. And if you don't like that, then you're going to burn out quickly.
Well, I mean, I think I really do that. I feel like probably most of the people that listen to the show already know that, but I know, I was years into this work before I really had a good handle on like, oh, okay, like this is me. But it could have easily not been me, right? I could have been more drawn to the cinematography, the shooting, and the editing, like your co-founder. And when you can define that and really understand, then it's like, okay, this is my sweet spot or my wheelhouse, or it's not. And if it's not, you need a producer, right? I mean, that's just like really, really important, especially as you get bigger jobs and there are more moving parts. As a composer, you need like all of the different instruments, and as your sets get bigger, if you work with agencies or anything like that, there's an expectation of like, hey, like this is only a 2-person crew. Are you serious? Mm-hmm. Like, how in the world are you going to do this with just 2 people? So thanks for clarifying that. I'm curious to know, in your video business, when clients are asking around, when they're interviewing you, considering you for a potential job, what's the differentiator? Like, how do you essentially sell yourself?
There are 2 ways, and so I have a lot to say on this. I have a background in marketing and communication, separate from video production. So branding and marketing and sales and all that stuff. But it boils, and also I'm an adjunct college professor, so I like to give out reading assignments. And so there are some really great books that I recommend to all business owners, especially those in creative businesses. And then I'll answer your question. But to refer people to these books, because then they can go dig deeper and know where I got this information. The single best business book I've ever read to help is called Positioning. It's written by Jack Trout, like the fish Trout, and Al Ries, R-I-E-S. Every business owner should read this book right now. It will help you define your position. That's where the name comes from. Define your position in the market and in the minds of consumers. So when people are considering video, they go, okay, all these video companies out there, how do I choose one? They're looking for little mental shortcuts, little differences that they can quickly help define, right? That we're all going to have the same gear. We're all going to have the same editing software. All that stuff's available. Then what makes us different than each other? Just like painters all have the same paint and brushes. So you have to define your position. And so our position, there are a couple of quick differentiators, because we do largely commercial work, is our videos are cinematic and they are heartfelt. Those are the 2 words that resonate with people, and really heartfelt. That's different than, say, a company that does funny explainer videos. We don't do those. We would not be good at that. We only do heartfelt stuff. And if you look at our work, you'll see it's all very emotional. It's all very, very heartfelt. And we have found success with that very focused pitch. That's my pitch. If you want that, come get it and we'll give it to you. So, for instance, what that's done for us, because focusing, and then what you have to do is then ignore everything else. That's the big mistake with video companies, especially early on when you're, and by the way, I'm shocked at how many videographers come out of weddings. My co-founder does too. It's like a proving ground, a farm system almost for videography companies. But anyway, so if you focus like that, then people can associate that in their mind and make very quick decisions. So my sales pitch is, hey, we can grab people's hearts with your video. We will grab their heart with the video. Do you want that? Is that the goal of this thing you're doing?
Yeah.
And if it is, then we are your people. And if it's not, then I have other companies I can refer you to. And being that clear really helps. The other thing is I play a lot on my marketing background. So lots of video folks, they make videos. They couldn't give you advice on what to do with it. They have no idea, right? We're makers. I can actually sit down with you and say, okay, what do you want to do with this? What's the goal? What's the market? Who are you after? I can help you. And I have found that clients really like that as a value added. That I can help you think through, how do we market this video? How do we use it in our larger marketing? So that's a good sales pitch, and it's been working well for us.
I love that. That's really good. And the idea of like figuring out what your position is and then ignoring the other stuff. I think that's worth mentioning a second time, because it's just easy to want to do all of the things and say, kind of become an amoeba or whatever, be able to morph into whatever your client wants, and to some extent, like that's probably fine, right? As you're trying to land jobs, and if you're really hungry, it's like, yeah, do that. But you'll be best served in really knowing what your position is. I don't know if you saw me, but I was kind of walking off the screen to pretend like I was going to grab that book right now. I don't have it, but I'm going to get it.
Well, I'll tell you how important it is.
Your instruction. So thank you for that.
Sure thing. I'll tell you how important it is and what it can do for your business. Since this is about building a video business, what it's done for our business is and you're right, when you're first starting out, you try and do everything. You're just trying to get clients. You're not trying to, you're just trying to make it, survive. Understood. Totally get it. But it will help you early on if you do some hard thinking about what do you want to do? What are the kind of clients you want to attract? What would make you happy? What kind of work would make you happy every day? Yeah. In other words, flip the script and stop going, say, who will pay me to do video? And say, who do I want to pay me to do video?
Right.
Okay. What kind of videos do they want? And start focusing like that. Because if you try to be everything, you will be nothing. I guarantee you will not grow. It's an iron rule of positioning and marketing. So here's what it looks like in our experience. Courtney and I, my business partner, we focused. We said, okay, this is who we are. This is the kind of video we like to watch. This is the kind of video we like to make. Heartfelt, cinematic, really emotional. Okay, cool. So we put that out there into the world, and we said, who's going to, we bait that hook and say, who's going to go after it? What it's done is we have done videos, heartfelt cinematic videos for nonprofits, for McDonald's, for, I got a call from a credit union the other day, for a tourism agency, for corporate. We did one just the other day for a big corporate printing company. In other words, you can say we do videos for tourism. We do tourism videos, and that's fine, by the way. We're the tourism video company. Okay, but we said heartfelt and cinematic. What it did was it's drawing clients from all over different industries. So instead of saying I do just this kind of this one industry, we said we do this kind of video. That's our position. And people have responded. And it's funny because I don't get calls from people who want otherwise. They're all like, hey, I've seen your stuff. That looks great. We want that. So that does the marketing for me. Is a clear, very crystallized, focused position. I can't stress that enough if you're trying to grow a business.
Yeah. I love that. That's also worth noting too, because, as I kind of teach and consult and try to help people in this, figuring out your niche. And a lot of times, like, one of the first things is, okay, what industry is that? Which I think is an okay place to start. But along with what you're saying, I tend to like that and agree with that more, because we've figured out not what industry is our favorite, but what kind of films are our favorite, right? And so working with a bunch of different industries and seeing the response, it's like, man, we do like to create video with soul. Like, that's our jam. And so that could be any industry. There are some industries that we're more drawn to because of the work that they're doing and who their clients are. But overall, exactly what you're saying, through that process of identifying and working in different industries, it's like no, we're not industry specific. What we're creating is more this heartfelt, soulful kinds of pieces. So I love that. And when somebody, actually it was our EOS implementer who had pointed this out, he had said, like, I don't work with any industries in particular. The service that I do, every business has these same problems, so I can work with. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. All right, so I don't feel that guilty that we haven't really landed on the one industry. So it's more about, like, what kind of films that we create that most businesses, most industries actually could use.
So I know a lot of companies, especially young companies, when people are young and hungry and scared. You're scared you're not going to have clients, you're going to go out of business. That's legitimate. We've all felt that. That's legit. The trick is, though, as early as possible, is to focus. And I know sometimes creatives don't like that, but I'm just here to bring you the truth. Is that from a business if you want to do videography as a hobby or just for personal fulfillment, then fine. Be everything to everybody and just carry your camera around and do it. If you want to make money and be a business, you have to think like every other business on earth, which means you have to focus. Which means you have to nail down exactly what your business stands for and be able to boil it down to a couple of words, individual words. You mentioned soul, right? Video with soul. I love that. Heartfelt, cinematic, that's ours. What that does is it lets consumers make quick choices and decide who they want and who they don't. And it will flip the script from you having to go and explain yourself to everybody every single time, which is exhausting and won't work, to them coming to you and saying, we saw your stuff, it connected with us, we want it.
Yeah.
That has been our experience at Wewa Films is we put out a very clear position.
Yep.
We don't change it. We don't move from it. And people have come to us. And that's the goal, right? That's what you want.
Yeah. When
I'm sorry to interrupt. And the great thing about that is you get to make the video you want, right? You get to make the stuff you already want to make. Right. So it's a great move.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Like when a client can come to you when it's clear, when you've positioned yourself, they're coming in pre-sold, right? You've been clear on who you are, what you're about. So there's no sales pitch. They're like, the way that you're describing yourself, you're not saying, hey, we're a video production company. It's like, oh, okay, like, so tell me, why would I want to use your video production company? You can cut that whole thing out and say, we produce videos with soul. We make videos with soul. We work with companies to, give them a heartfelt cinematic, videos. Like that's taking a position, and that for a client is like, oh, that's actually what we need. Or in the same token, like that's not what we need. I need a very boring talking head, get to the point, show people how to do this thing. Okay, well, that's a different video, and at that point you can decide if you want to do that, or just like, no, we don't do those kinds of videos. Yeah. So clients can self-select, which is amazing. And then for them to come in pre-sold, that's even more amazing.
Right. They're pre-qualified. Yeah. It cuts out a lot. And what you're doing is giving them a gift. They can, and I know it's scary to say, oh, people will say, oh, maybe that's not for us. Well, you'll never meet those people because they aren't going to call you. They're going to know that, but when they look at your website, and that's the first question I ask people when they call me, and they say, hey, we've seen your stuff, and we want to have you do a project for us. First thing I ask them is, have you looked at our stuff? Have you seen our website? Have you looked? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
And if it's not, then we can be friends, but we're not going to do business. Right. And that's a scary thing to do, but it is and I've actually, to this degree, and I'm sure you've had this experience too. You'll have a client come to you, or a potential client, and they'll say, hey, love your stuff, want you to work with us. We have some video we shot about a year ago, that from another, but we just like to repurpose it, and can you fold that in? And that's a play to get your cost down, obviously, right? We have a rule. It's in our FAQ on our website. Is, will you use other people's video? And the answer is no. Always no, because that's going to dilute our position. We will not do that. And I've had several people ask me, and they go, you know what? I respect that. They understand. Like, I get it. Okay, cool. I get it. And they move on. But that's fine. And in a 4-minute conversation, you can decide if you're going to do business together. That's the efficiency you're looking for.
Yeah, totally. Get a no as soon as possible. Kevin, I'm curious, can you just touch on your process for creating heartfelt cinematic videos?
I can. It happened kind of organically when Courtney and I started working together. But then the professor in me had to go and analyze, like, what works about this? What is working? And we came up with this. So it's an unusual thing in life to find a creative partner. And that's why there's so many lone wolf artists, right? Because nobody understands them, nobody connects with them, nobody gets what they're trying to do. I understand that. Well, Courtney and I have no idea how, but we just do get each other, and creatively are locked from the moment we started working together. We have not a lot else in common, to be honest. She's 18 years younger than I am. She's married and has a child. We live close to each other. She lives in Wewa. I live 15 minutes from Wewa, which is the name of our company. But we have this thing that just works when we get on the set together. So I've analyzed this to answer your question. How do we do that? The first thing is, it comes out of us organically. So we always tell people when you're teaching public speaking, if you are funny, then you should be funny. If you are not funny, you know it by now. If your friends don't laugh at your jokes, please don't try to be funny. It will not work. And so but that cinematic, heartfelt stuff, that's the kind of thing that just automatically comes out of us. So then now that we know that's us, that's who we are, everything gets easier. We're not trying hard. We're not forcing it. The other great thing about this is, and I love that you came out of wedding videography, because Courtney did too. I think, and I've watched her on set, she has this eye for human moments, these very special little hidden, spontaneous candids. But I think her training in wedding videography set her up to do that, because at a wedding, as you know, you have to be a ghost. Yeah. You just have to disappear into the scenery, right? You don't want to be in the way, but at the same time, you have to get the shot. So you have to get that close up of the kiss. So you're in the way, but you have to learn to not be in the way. Mm-hmm. What that's done, I've watched her on set, and she just floats around quietly and gets this angle and comes up on people, and they don't even quite know. It allows her to get people acting like people and having moments. And then that is the first thing in our formula, is getting people to let their guard down. The second thing is that I think I bring to the table is I've managed clients for 20 plus years. I know how to manage people. And I've interviewed hundreds of people. Our stuff has a lot of interview work in it, which a lot of video companies don't do. And I understand why. It's hard. It's a whole different lighting setup. It's a different skill set to do an interview. I've done hundreds of them. So what it does is it lets me warm those people up and talk to them and get them in the mood and allay their fear. So by relaxing them and then letting Courtney in other words, it's almost like a sleight of hand, like a magician. I'm over here going, hey, talk to me. Hey, we're going to do this. And I warm them up. And meanwhile, Courtney's floating around behind them, right? Getting these cool shots, and they don't know what's happening. And that's how we get that heartfelt kind of. And the other thing is, when I'm interviewing them, I'm always going for, I drive them toward those emotional topics. I drive them toward the aspirational things. And why did you start this business? Why do you get up every day and love this? And it starts to gush out of them, right? Instead of what you do. Yeah. I ask them why they do it. And that tends to get to their heart.
I like it. That's really good. Lots of similarities here.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
So I know marketing strategy has played a role in your video business. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it's one of the things I did not know was such a big need in the creative community until I started a business in the creative community. Is that and my business partner is one of these. She told me that. It's like, Kevin, I love making video, but I hate talking to clients. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to do it. I don't want to deal. I just don't like it, and I understand that. So here's the thing, and you hit on this early on. Is finding your niche in this world. If you don't like talking to people, if the idea of pitching your business or closing a sale freaks you out, that's fine. That's natural. There's nothing wrong with that. But you better find somebody who can do it for you, or you're not going to make it. You have to have the ability and the drive and understand your value. See, I think a lot of people don't market themselves hard enough because they don't clearly believe they're as valuable as they want to be. Yeah. They don't know their position. So my background as a marketing strategist, as a strategic communicator, has helped us immensely to get this business off the ground. Another book, and I could talk about that, of course, all day, but another book just for you to read, and it talks to what you mentioned earlier, Ryan, is called The E-Myth. Yeah. By Michael Gerber. Have you heard of this book?
Oh yeah, so it's the first business book I ever read.
Yeah, and so you know what I'm talking about, right? You have these three positions in every business: the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. And you can't be all three at one time. And most businesses fail because they try to be all three at one time. You have to. So, marketing strategy, if you are the one in your company who does that, then study it, read positioning, read everything Seth Godin ever wrote, read Michael Gerber, read all these things, and you can learn and you can get better. But if it's not you, if you find that, oh my God, I'm having panic attacks thinking about this, no problem. But you've got to get somebody on board who can do it for you. And otherwise you won't grow. I'm sorry. It just is not going to work. You'll burn out.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and definitely for me, like that's where we found a lot of success, is because I'm drawn to marketing. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. I love reading books by guys like Seth Godin. And do you actually provide like marketing type solutions for your clients, or are you just kind of throwing out some ideas?
Well, funny you say that, because I started out because I'm like you. I like this stuff, so I like to talk about it, and it always comes up with clients. Most clients, frankly, they aren't looking for me to do their marketing or anything like that. It just comes up in conversation, and then we move on because they know why they want their video. I have a client, McDonald's, that we're doing for McDonald's.
Heard of them?
Yeah, you probably. It's an up and coming little restaurant chain. They're
a chain. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah,
there's like 3 or 4 million of them, right? So we have a client who's an owner operator. They call it. She owns a bunch of McDonald's restaurants, and we got to talking. We were doing a video series for her on called "Making a McDonald's." She was building a new McDonald's, and we did a little almost like an HGTV series on this thing as she built it. And as we're doing this series, 12 episodes, she and I would talk about her marketing generally. And she kept saying, you should do my marketing. Like you should help me overall with my marketing. And I was like, no, we're a video business. And we kept on and kept on and kept on. And so at the end of it, she was like, no, seriously, this is working, and I like this, and I think you should help me with this. So to that end, we are now helping. Now, Wewa Films is not. Wewa Films is because of positioning, right? A film company is not a marketing company. But we have grown into, I personally have grown into doing some more stuff for her, including her social media strategy and stuff like that. So yeah, it comes up. If you and by the way, that's something to think about for other businesses out there. It's a differentiator. If you can help a client think through what they're going to do with the video you're going to make, you can automatically be more valuable to them. And a good example of this that comes up all the time is a client will come to me and say, hey, I want you to do this video for broadcast or video for social or whatever it is. Long form video. We want a 3-minute storyteller type thing. Cool. I go, here's what else we're going to do for you. We're going to do all these interviews, and we're going to have all this B-roll, and we're going to do this great stuff. How about we cut together a few 15-second little blurbs that you can throw on Facebook or on Instagram? And they go, really? You can do that? I was like, yeah, of course we can do that. And we pack it. So now all of a sudden you're helping them think of ways that they can use the video they're paying for. It helps them come to grips also with the cost. They'll pay more because they're getting more. So that's a nice little marketing technique we found.
I think that's great. And the thing that I really like about that is for our listener who is like, I don't like marketing, I don't care about that. Well, you don't have to be a marketing expert to know that a client needs videos for their own marketing, for their own social media, for their website. So this video in particular that this client has hired you for, they might just be real laser focused on like, yeah, we need to put it on our YouTube channel. Well, you can just kind of have this go-to. Well, what about like, would you need 15-second or 30-second snippets of that that you don't need to come up with this idea on your own. It's like, oh yeah. Or what about a web banner? Like you've got to export it a certain way or cut it up a certain way. It can only be, a certain length or whatever, to have a couple of these go-tos that would operate as add-ons or upsells or whatever for a client that could net you, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 more. And you don't need to be the one like dreaming up like, well, let's think about like, what's your overall strategy and how could we get you there? You don't have to be that. Me, like I like to think about that kind of like the real big picture. But in doing that, it's helped me realize all these other like little add-ons and upsells and things that could help a client if they're, wanting to use it on social or wherever. So point there is you don't need to be a marketing expert. For us, one thing that we started doing, I've charged up to $5,000 for a marketing strategy session, which really has been me sitting down with a client, not saying like, hey, we're going to take over your marketing or we're going to, but tell us what is your marketing plan for the next year? What are you guys wanting to launch? What new products are you releasing? What new services are you offering? And how are you rolling those out? So they're telling me all of the things. And then it's up to me to say like, okay, This kind of video would work for that. Social media videos would work for that. You guys are going to have a new web page, so you're going to need some kind of web banner for that. And then my homework was in this is to come up with as many different videos that I could see being used in these different marketing things. So they might not even have been thinking about adding video for this release of this product, and they were just going to, write a blog post article or do a podcast episode or something like that. But the way that my brain is wired and the thing that I get excited about is like coming up with ideas on how they can use video for that. So that $5,000 led to over $150,000 in video projects that the client committed to. And they were going to do some video projects anyway. But my pitch was like, hey, let's sit down. Let me go over this. If you spend over $100,000 in video with us, I'm going to waive this $5,000 fee. So we're just going to roll that into the whole thing. And so that's something that we've done, and it's worked really well. And it's related to the video blueprint method, which is essentially a workshop that we pitch to clients that have an idea for a video but need us to come alongside. It was kind of born out of this idea that we're kind of a consultant, or can be, for our clients, and really get to the heart of what it is that they want and how are we going to get there, and having people pay for that instead of just us offering these ideas, offering marketing advice before our clients ever even hired us, but hoping that if we have all these little added value things in our initial pitch or initial discovery call, that they would say like, oh man, these are great, let's hire these guys. That didn't ever really seem to work out well for us. But as soon as we flipped the switch and said, hey, it's going to be $2,500 for you to have, or for you to go through this video blueprint workshop with us, where we're going to basically just be doing pre-production with you, and you're going to pay for it. People were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Whereas before we were doing all of that for free before we even got a job, and half the time or more we weren't even getting the job. And wow, a lot of wasted time, energy, and all of that stuff.
Well, and there's a few brilliant things about what you just said. The first one is, you have to understand, if you are a video expert, understand that you have things in your head that you know that your clients do not know. It's easy to forget that. It's easy to forget that you might be talking to a 55-year-old CEO of a company or a marketing manager or whatever, who's never opened Instagram, who knows it's out there and knows people do things on it, but they don't know what to do with it. So you understand you automatically have a value in your head. The other thing that clients want almost all the time is they don't want just order takers, right? And a lot of creatives, and you creatives out there, be careful about this. A lot of creatives are like this. They'll say, all right, listen, like, I'm just a monkey. You tell me how you want me to dance, right? Yeah. I'll just do what you tell me. Give me the order and I'll make the video you want. Clients don't want that because they don't know what they want. That's why they're hiring you. They want thinking partners. They want somebody who can come into a project and say, oh, just like you described, exactly like you described, and say, okay, let's stop for a minute before we start rolling and spending your money. And let's talk this out, because I'm an expert at video and I know how to use video. And we're not talking about doing a strategic communication plan. Right. You don't have to do that. It's a consultation. That's the right word. We're a consultant. What that does, other than making you more money, which is outstanding, is it cements in that consumer's mind, these are my video people forever. Yeah. I can't imagine using someone else. You are just building up your credibility with them. That you are now the only option in their mind, which means you get their work forever, which means they're going to tell all of their colleagues about this company, who takes all this pressure off of us. They're asking us questions. They're probing our business plan. They want, because now, especially executives, people and when I say executives, you're usually going to be dealing, if it's a big company, you're going to be dealing with some sort of marketing manager or chief marketing officer or whatever. Fine. That person is extremely busy and needs people to take things off of her plate. If you can be that trusted thinking partner, and then in her mind, she can just go, when I need video, all I have to do is pass it off to Wewa Films, pass it off to Studio Sherpas, click, boom, it's done. That's a revenue stream forever. And so even by offering just those little extra, let me help you think through what to do with this video, they will pay you more money and they will pay you more often. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, when people call us, when clients call us, I always tell them, I'm like, there are two types of clients. There are clients that want us to be a tripod, want us to be the monkey and just do whatever. And those typically are agency clients. They've got a storyboard. They know they've got a creative director. They just need our cool cameras and our expertise in shooting and editing. And can we follow directions? And then the other type of client is somebody who needs us, wants us to come alongside them. Maybe they've done video before. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they didn't like their experience. Maybe they need something new and fresh, and we're going to work together to figure out what is the creative direction for this piece. And if that's you, if you don't know what questions to interview, you've never interviewed somebody before, and you really need clarity and confidence in this idea, then you're going to pay $2,500. We're going to do this workshop. And then what that's allowed us to do is give a client an opportunity to work with us on a small level, 2-hour workshop. And if they hate it, I tell them, we'll give you your money back if this workshop, in-person workshop, was a waste of time. Otherwise, we're going to produce this blueprint for you. You're going to look at it and give us feedback on it. And then when we finalize the idea, the concept, then we're going to move forward into production. And the couple of price point packages, things that we've presented in this blueprint, you're going to tell us which one. And then we're going to have our kickoff call and just rock and roll. That is a lot of freedom for a client to be like, wow, there's a differentiator. Not many companies are offering this workshop for a $20,000 or more project, or $10,000, whatever. We charge $2,500 because we know that our average project is going to be $17,000 or more. So if your average project is $5,000, then you probably charge $500
right.
or $700, something to get them to commit and say, like, okay, we're choosing you, we're choosing your expertise. So it gives them that opportunity. And we have sold so many more jobs when a client is looking at multiple companies and we say, well, this is how we work. We do this workshop. So if you're not ready to commit to a budget range and you're not ready to put some money on the table, then we're not a good fit. We're not going to try to come up with an idea for you for $0. That just doesn't, we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of real great wisdom in that from a sales perspective, because see, this is the other thing with sales and marketing, is that a lot of creatives think it's slimy, and they think that they don't want to be those. They don't want to. It's the used car salesman, right? Okay, yeah. Fine. But here's how sales should be, and it's just like you're describing it. I ask people when we talk about sales and about closing deals, like you're talking about. You ever been to a restaurant or a movie that you just loved, and your best friend is going to love it too? Or been on a vacation or whatever it is, like, oh my God, you have got to go to this place. And they're like, I don't know. I'm out on that. And you go, no. You don't understand. I know you, and I know you're going to love this, and you won't leave them alone. Not because you're being a jerk. Do you feel slimy when you're doing that? No. You feel like I know my friend's going to love this. I'm trying. Right. I'm trying to help you. That is good marketing. Now it takes finding and I love this technique you're using to sort of qualify clients. Put this money down, we will give it right back if you don't have a good experience. But there's a phrase in marketing that goes like this, that nobody wants to buy a cheap Mercedes. If Mercedes came out with an economy line, nobody's buying them, because we want to spend a lot of money on a Mercedes because we know what we're getting. It's a status thing. I don't want you to make them for everybody. I want to be part of the Mercedes group. So what you're saying, when I said, listen, we have this workshop, we're going to lay out a blueprint because we play at this level. There's a $2,500 entry fee into this level. If you don't like it, you get it back. But understand that's just who we are. And if they go, whoa, I didn't know about all. Then you're qualifying. Right. I love that it's a nice sales technique. It's a good client management technique, and it lets them. It keeps them in the driver's seat, because that's the number one thing with successful sales and closing is if they ever feel like you're pushing them, you're going to lose. They're going to walk away. You have to let them come to you, right? It's inbound marketing. It's online they call it, but you always want them coming toward you. So you're trying to lay out the breadcrumbs for them to follow and come to you. And that's exactly what you're describing. I love that idea. I might steal that idea.
Let me just share a quick story. We landed a new client. We did a workshop for them this week. Prior to the workshop, they're like, oh, we had this $50,000 budget for 3 videos, which then turned into, okay, we actually need 40, or we need 4 videos, and we're not sure that we actually have a $50,000 budget anymore. So then I said, okay, whoa. This sounds like not a good idea here. If you guys want to do the workshop, great, but you have to have a budget range for this initial video. Long story short, we end up doing the workshop. The conversation was like, the most simplified video that we can do for you without knowing any details, but very, very basic, is $12,000. And from what I'm hearing you describe what you want, it's probably going to be closer to $20,000 and maybe even a little bit more. We do the workshop, and one of the first questions is, how are you going to define success for this workshop? There was an agency, and then their client is this massive company. And I had multiple people that said at the beginning of the workshop and at the end of the workshop, we've never been a part of a video workshop. We've never done this. We're super interested. This is very unique. And then by the end, they're like, this was amazing. I always ask the question, like, how did the workshop go? Was this helpful? Oh my gosh, this was the awesomest thing. Those were just about the exact words that were shared. And then I had a follow-up conversation the next day because we said, hey, you really got to dial in your budget here before we work on this blueprint. And the conversation, it wasn't Mercedes. It was I was talking to the director of the whole thing, and he said, I want BMW type video here. So if $12,000 isn't going to get us the BMW, and it sounds like $20,000 might get us there, but if it's going to cost more than $20,000, just let me know because we can flex. And this is for one video. So we went from 4 videos at less than $50,000 to one video probably going to be about 20, maybe a little bit more than $20,000. And he's all in because he's bought in this workshop. The confidence that we were able to instill in them was just through the roof. So anyway, I'm gonna link to the video blueprint method inside the notes on this episode. If you're interested in copying and doing this same thing that we do, the course has lots of details, sample workshops that we've done, all of that stuff. So the idea is yours, but if you want more information, I'll link to that. I did not intend to talk about the video blueprint method today, but case in point, it is super helpful.
It's a brilliant move, and because here's the thing, that doesn't surprise me at all that the budget increased after the workshop. See, people think that if I charge my client money, then they're going to want to spend less money. That's not the case. If you build, because typically, typically their first price range they give you is a smokescreen. It's a test, right? They have more money.
Right.
They're just like, I don't know you yet. I don't know if I trust you yet. You do that workshop, and they're like, okay, let's rock and roll. Let me tell you what I actually have in the bank to spend on this, right?
Yep.
So, but you have to do that first hurdle. You have to do that top level of the sales funnel to make them comfortable that, okay, these are pros. We can be straight up with them and tell them how much money we're really willing to spend because they know they're going to get value. Yeah, I just love it. Yeah. What a great idea.
Kevin, we need to wind down, unfortunately, but before we do, man, you've got an awesome, your website's great. The articles that you have on your blog, the topics are so good. And I'm curious, I mean, this is a decent amount of work that you've time invested, energy invested in this. Have you seen the result of this? Have you landed clients because of some of this work that you've put into this kind of marketing strategy?
Yes. Absolutely, yes, I have. And here's how it typically goes down. They may see a little snippet on social media or something, right, or heard whatever. And we all know if they get interested, the next step is going to be your website. Okay. That website better be on point. It better be on point. And because if you're going to market yourself as a high-end, we're worth $20,000 a video, and that's not unreasonable. Your website and your own marketing better look like it, which means, and so I put a lot of work into that website. Yes, I write most of the blog posts. I write all the blog posts because I like to write, but also here's the thing about that, and this is why I love this podcast and you're generating this content. People think, oh, nobody's going to read my blog, and well, first of all, you don't know that. Because
Sure.
the second thing is, think about this. Think about how a client thinks. Stop thinking about how you think. Think about how they do. Okay, I've heard of this company, Wewa Films. Let me jump to their website. Boom. Oh, that's a good looking website. Oh, they have a blog, and they click on my blog, and they see there's all these articles there. Even if they don't read a single article, having a blog and seeing all those articles, they go, oh, wow. Okay, they do some stuff. They're real. Like they generate this. That alone has value, sales value. So yeah, I have had more than one client call me and go, I've been going through your website, and they'll tell me, I went through your FAQ, I went through this. You don't know how deep they'll dig, but you better have stuff for them there for them to find. So it's absolutely worth the time and investment. And I know we don't have time to do it. And I know it's hard to do all this. You don't have time to make a podcast. I don't have time to write blog posts. But do you want to be in business or don't you? And do you want it to grow or don't you? And if you do, this is the price of admission.
I love it. That's really good. Kevin, man, this is super enjoyable. Thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find all of these amazing articles that you have and follow you online?
Our website, it's pretty simple. Wewa, W-E-W-A, wewafilms.com. The blog is there. It's Wewa blog. It's wewafilms.com/blog. All of our social media handles are at Wewa Films. Strangely enough, nobody had the name Wewa Films, right? So I got it all. Facebook, Instagram, all they're all there. You can find us on any of the social media platforms. And my contact information is all over everything. So it's on my website, but Kevin at wewafilms.com. You can get a hold of me anytime.
I love it.
Ryan, I really appreciate this, man.
Oh, man.
Great
so
experience.
Much
Thank you.
Helpful content. I'm excited to hear what people think of this particular episode. How do you want to leave us today?
Listen, I know it's hard growing a business, and I know sometimes you got into this business because you like making videos, and now you're realizing, oh my gosh, there's all this other business stuff I have to do, and I don't get to make the videos I wanted to make. Don't despair. There are ways that you can build your business and still do that creative thing you want to do. We don't have time to talk about them all now, but we've talked about a few of them. Don't quit. Don't despair. Read books and learn how to do this, and you can build the business to live the lifestyle you want. You can do it.
I love it, man. Awesome. Thanks again, Kevin. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ryan.
I hope you enjoyed this episode with Kevin. If you want access to some of the things that we talked about, you can check for the links in the show notes. And if you're interested at all in the video blueprint method, which we talked about sort of accidentally, but it just made sense to kind of share about, you can go to studiosherpas.com/blueprint and check it out. As always, I am so grateful for you. Thank you for watching this episode. I appreciate your encouragement, the comments that you leave, the DMs that you send me, the support of this show and the work that I'm doing to help people like you grow their video business. If you're not a member of the free Facebook group, then get over there. What are you waiting for? Join the community by searching Grow Your Video Business on Facebook, and we'll see you inside of that group. That's it for now, my friend. Make it an amazing week, and I will see you on next week's episode.